guys, Devin here with Devin's Dog Days, and today on my channel I'm going to be starting a new segment called Breed Specific Recommendations. Coming fresh off of the Kerry Blue Terrier National Specialty over in Missouri, I worked on a lot of different dogs, a lot of different coats. I also helped give a lot of recommendations to different people who had all sorts of questions, whether it came to shampoo, products, shears, and so I thought the easiest way to answer all of your questions is to go ahead and just make this video. To get started, I'm going to go over maintenance. What I like to use to maintain the coat in between shows and in between groomings. With the show client, I'm going to be grooming them at least every 4 to 6 weeks, and that is going to help condition the coat. Even taking that extra layer of damaged hair off of there and making sure that your coat is always in good condition, that there's no broken ends, no split ends, is going to help you keep more hair and have less breakage. So that way your dog is going to be in the best shape possible when you do walk into a show ring. So for me, I like to use Hidratante. It is a moisturizing shampoo that works great. It's very lightweight. It will not weigh down the coat. I also always like to use Blanc. This is an optical illuminating shampoo. It works because it has a blue tint to it, and what that does is it just works really well at catching the light. Even fire, the hottest color, the brightest color is blue to the human eye. And so with that in mind, that is basically how I like to explain how this works. It does not change the color of the coat. Full disclosure, I have had one client in 10 years where it did actually turn a small portion of the coat just a hint of blue. This was a male standard white poodle who I bathed weekly, and I realized I should not have been using this weekly regardless. Maybe once every other week or once a month, but the other issue too was that he was going through coat change and had a lot of breakage. Aside from that, I have not had any issues with this, and you can use it on any color. You can use it on white, black, brown, blue, red, what have you. I've used it on every color you can imagine over the years, and no matter what, it works really well to add a beautiful, bright shine to the coat and just make it look really healthy and lustrous. So for Kerry Blues, with them being a blue breed, even if I'm bathing them weekly, I do not worry about this leaving any color in the coat. After I do the shampooing, which I do 2 shampoos, I always love to use a rubber curry brush. This one has very short bristles. It just really helps work the shampoo all the way through the coat down to the skin, and also work the shampoo into the skin too and give it a really nice massage. Just about all my dogs enjoy this. So always recommend having a rubber curry brush. No matter when, where you're bathing, these things are going to make sure that you get your dog super clean. For my shampooing process, the way that I like to do it is I like to shampoo them twice. Meaning I will either apply the shampoo directly to a pre-wet coat, so I'll spray them down a little bit and then I will apply the shampoo by hand. With these, you can do it by pump, and a little goes a long way. If you like to dilute your shampoos, I usually dilute these about 16 to 1, which is about like 2 pumps. So I'll do 1 pump of each, water, and good to go. After I do the first shampoo, I will rinse. I don't worry about getting all of the shampoo out at this time. I just try to rinse as much through as I can and squeeze a bit out, and then I go ahead and I reapply shampoo again. The reason that I do this is that I consider the first shampooing to be just getting all the dirt and grunginess out and just really trying to prepare that coat to absorb a lot of the beneficial properties of these shampoos. So first one is just getting in there and really getting rid of all the funk and all the yuck that is in that coat, and then the second go, I will then let the shampoo sit on the dog after I have scrubbed it into them for about 90 seconds. Just for practice, to make sure that the coat has an opportunity to really absorb all the beneficial vitamins, minerals, properties, all of the good stuff that's in those shampoos. A pro tip that is kind of fun with Artero is that they also have basic shampoo. This is basically what equates to 1.5 gallons, 180 ounces. And this guy here is, I think, less than $40 for this whole thing. Again, you can dilute 16 to 1. The reasons why this is so helpful is because it's a clarifying shampoo that's really great when your dogs are maintained properly and are on a regular schedule. It's a very light, clarifying shampoo that, you know, just gets all of that yuck out, so you can use this first and then use your enhancing shampoo second. This here is probably, I think it's about $38, give or take a couple bucks, whereas these guys range closer in the 50s, closer to 60s. And you know, this is just a way to basically help save a little bit of money, especially if you're a multi-dog household. You can start with this one, use it for clarifying, and then you can move on to your enhancements. You can always just use these. A lot of times I do, but this is a great money saver, all around saver. I love to use this on my regular maintenance pads and things like that to just make sure that I get a really good clean on them. Basic shampoo, wonderful to add into your repertoire as well. Now, aside from that, brushes. So brushes are super important, whether it comes to staining your hands, whether it comes to what you're trying to do or accomplish with your brushes. The way that the brushes are made is super important, depending if you want a more coarse one for, say, thicker coats or whatnot. If you want something that has softer pins, I personally always prefer something like that because I want to be as considerate of the dogs and their skin and their comfort as possible. My favorite brushes to use on the Kerry Blue Terrier for maintenance, when it comes to brushing out their legs and their fall, my go-to all around that you can pretty much use for everything is the Artera Supersoft Pin Slicker. This is just your go-to. I use these every day in the shop. If you're as much of an Artera diehard fan as I am, you remember when these brushes looked like this. These are the old models. The pad of the brush has a cushion to it, so it's much more flexible and easy on the skin and coat and just gentle all around, while also making sure that it gets really nice and deep down into that coat. So this is next level, same price range. Absolutely love this brush. They come in 4 different sizes. This is the extra large or large, but they have an extra small, small, a medium, and then this large one. Definite go-to. Now, one problem that I did kind of notice in only using this one is sometimes when you get into those longer coat areas like the legs, because these pins are a little bit shorter, they tend to kind of press the hair down, and because there's not enough space between the tip of the pins and the pad of the brush, sometimes you can compress your hair, and when you're trying to get airflow through it while you're fluff drying, that can kind of make it take a little bit longer. It's not so much that it's like super noticeable, but when you get a brush that does get it done faster, you know it's noticeable. So that is why I am super excited about these guys. Your groom carries, I know this one's too small, but rest assured it also comes in 4 sizes just like this one. This is the, I believe, small size, so there are 3 other sizes larger than this. And the reason why I've really fallen in love with this brush is the pins are just as soft and flexible as the Supersoft Slicker, but it has longer pins. And so what that does is it solves my problem. It leaves more space from the pad of the brush to the tip of the pins, which means there's more space for air to pass through when I'm fluff drying, so the hair can actually separate and get really nice and stretched out and super just nice and straight and ready, and give it all of that volume that you need to make sure that you accomplish the best groom. So I was super excited to find out about these. They literally just came out at PCA this year. So these 2 are definitely my top recommendations when it comes to slickers. They are just wonderful and they can get through everything. And so aside from that, I also, especially because of, you know, being a little bit extra, I like pin brushes for my falls. I just find it to be even a little bit more of a pleasant experience for the dogs. It makes less noise than the slickers. I find whenever I'm working around the head, I try to find anything that's not going to make too much noise, or I try to nullify as much noise as possible. Whereas with the slicker brush, you're hearing a little bit of that brushing motion. With a pin brush, you don't really get that. It's also much more flexible and much softer. And when you're working around eyes and things like that, it's much safer in my opinion. Not to say that I never use a slicker brush around their faces. I'm always very cautious about it, but I just find that I really enjoy this soft pin brush for working on their faces to make sure that I get it through. Also, I like to use this on bodies. So with the Kerry, with trying to get the Marcel and do the wave, you don't want to fluff that hair up. On my Kerrys, I like to use the pin brush and go with the grain of the coat. This is making sure that I am still able to help stretch that hair so you can really develop those nice waves, but not straighten it to the point that a slicker will do. So it's going to actually help when you are literally drying that coat in the direction that it needs to go for you to be able to Marcel it, pack it in, however you want to refer it to as. This is a great option to be able to do that. Some coats curl up really fast if you just allow them to air dry, so they do need some help with making sure that you can get a really nice wavy Marcel on them. So this guy definitely is key to helping with that. And then this last brush, this is the brush that I love to use for packing the coat in or for marcelling the coat. And the reason why is because it is a combination of boar's hair brush as well as longer plastic but very flexible pins. The reason why I love this brush so much for marcelling is because in theory and in practice, I started to think about it for marcelling because it worked really great at helping to keep that wave going with the longer pins. So it helps kind of direct the hair into those groups of waves. And then the boar's hair, which is shorter than the pins by about quarter of an inch to half an inch, it will then smooth the coat on top. So this is functioning in two ways. It's helping you literally organize the hair into waves, and then it's also helping smooth that coat and pack it in so that you don't have hairs sticking up all over. And if you do have any hairs, you know which ones to trim. I absolutely love this brush. I use it on all of my carries. It is my go-to for everything. Reference number K589. It's burned into my memory. I love this brush. So along with maintenance, the other things that I like to stay mindful of too are conditioners. My ultimate go-to conditioner with all of my maintenance baths is the Artero Protein. It's an all-around multi-use conditioner. Super moisturizing but lightweight. I love to use this also on my hand strips because it will not weigh down the coat. And the best part about it that I love is you can either leave it in, rinse it through, or rinse it out. My personal favorite way to use it is to rinse it through, which means I apply it to the coat, rinse it for like 30 to 90 seconds, and then I will rinse the coat a bit, but I'm not trying to rinse it all the way out. So I'm just gonna rinse it over, and that basically helps dilute it on the coat, and some of it may come out, but a lot of it is staying in that coat, but it's not too concentrated. And so it really helps work it through the entire coat and make sure that that moisture is getting to all of the hair that needs it. To dilute protein into a spray bottle about this big, you would only need to use 2 pumps. This spray bottle here is 8 fluid ounces. I recommend by diluting this at a ratio of about 1 part conditioner to 3 to 4 parts water. So with this being 8 ounces, I do 2 pumps, 1 pump for every 4 ounces. And that's more than enough. If you want a little bit more moisture, you can do it for you can do 3 pumps. It really is in your control. With this being so highly concentrated and being able to be either used directly onto the coat or in a spray bottle, it's just, it covers all the bases. It is an all-around great product to have, and you'll never go wrong with it. Aside from that, I also love our Mix conditioning spray. Mix is essentially ready-to-use diluted protein. It is just as lightweight, although it does have a really delicious smell, almost like green apples or citrus. This is Kubic. This is a keratin-based conditioner. It actually comes out in a foam, and you work it directly into the coat and dry it directly into the coat. The way that I like to use this is after you have bathed your dog, after you have towel dried them, and after you have force dried them, then you apply this. The reason why is keratin in general is heat activated, and that's how you're gonna get the best results, best moisture, and also this stuff is incredibly volumizing. So it is awesome for your maintenance baths. I personally, per practice, do not like to condition coats on the day of showing. If you do, Kubic would be the way to go. This stuff is awesome, doesn't weigh down the coat. I'm telling you, it adds volume to it. It is very impressive. So if you like to condition same day as showing or grooming or what have you, with Kubic, you can do it. Now on to grooming. So when I'm grooming my Kerry Blue Terriers, my prep is a little bit different. So instead of using the moisturizing shampoo, I love Vitalizante. Vitalizante is volumizing and texturizing shampoo, and it's great to use on both areas where you want to add volume and areas where you want to create structure. So it is the best of both worlds when it comes to bathing the dog fully and having something that's going to support creating a really nice versatile to the jacket, because when you dry that coat and you use your pin brush to help create those waves while you're drying, this is going to help add structure that's going to help hold that coat in place so it doesn't all fly away. In my experience, it also cuts down on drying time because it adds that structure to the hair and it just makes it want to do whatever you want it to do. So this is all around the shampoo that I go to for my show days. I'm gonna skip over conditioners because I personally do not like to use conditioners on the same day that I am grooming or competing, but if you do, Kubic. Then after I am done bathing, I towel dry. Sometimes I will let them air dry under a fan for a little bit just to help get the curl a little bit back into that coat, not completely. I don't want to straighten out the coat completely, but I do like to give it that opportunity to just wave up. If the coat's a little too curly while it's wet, I'll actually run a slicker brush or a pin brush over it before I put them under fans. And this is just going to help really encourage that hair again in the right direction. On to the products that I like to use to prep for show. Zoom is something that I use all the time to prep my dogs for show. It is a volumizing mousse. It works incredibly well in adding very lightweight structure to the coat. A little bit goes a long way. This would be enough to do 2 legs. After you're done towel drying, after you're done force drying, I apply this much like I do Kubic, where I work it through the coat after those 2 steps, and then I fluff dry. Again, it's heat activated. Great thing about it too is that you can use this on a dry coat. Now when I do use this on a dry coat, or even a coat that maybe dries pretty quickly, I always have a water spray bottle nearby, just in case it's drying too quickly and it gets a little too structured, not in the way that I want it. Literally add a spritz of water, dry it, and it's good as new. Adds that volume, adds that structure, and really gives that coat that body that it needs. And then also when they're moving, hair is less likely to be flopping all over the place because it is really holding its structure and staying in place. So Zoom is again an awesome product for days that you're showing. If you compete with Kerry Blue Terriers, I absolutely recommend this, especially for their legs. And I also a lot of times like to use it just on the top of their fall, especially if I want to add that volume so that they have a really nice transition down in their fall or their beard. This is definitely a product that I love to recommend. The other 2 products that I highly recommend. So for grooming, I always use static. I order this stuff by the case. It's an anti-static spray. It works amazingly at cutting out any static that there might be in the coat, and what that does is it keeps the hair from sticking to itself, which cuts down on your grooming time and also makes sure that you're going to get the best, most consistent finish to your coat. So when you're grooming, a lot of times what the hair likes to do is just stick right back to itself, literally static. That's how it works, makes it bunch up, makes it want to stick together. When you apply anti-static to the coat and you comb through, the hair is not going to stick back to itself. So you now have the added structure to help you finish that groom much faster, and also it's really great at making sure that you are able to find any knots or tangles that you have in that coat. When you are grooming a dog, when you are bathing a dog, you should not be able to find any knots, any tangles in that coat. What those do are break hair. No matter what you do, if you leave knots or tangles in your dog's coat, it is going to lead to breakage. It could also lead to even more severe matting that could require you to have to actually cut it out if it's too tight to the skin. So always, always, always be combing that coat. Make sure that you can get a comb through every inch of that dog if you want to make sure that you can avoid having any of those issues. Coat cannot grow well if it is constantly tangled. That will literally break hair. So pro tip, get your static. Aside from that, I absolutely love Loop. This product was actually developed by some of our people over in Spain who work with Spanish water dogs. If you're familiar with those dogs, they have a natural curl to their coat. They are a rustic breed. And what that means is that they have to keep that curl. That is signature to the breed. It helps them perform their job, and it helps keep them healthy and keep their skin protected from the elements that they usually are working in. So this is basically a wet hairspray, in my opinion. From what I've worked with it, it is moisturizing, and it really helps add a beautiful shine to the coat as well. Also, it smells like lavender, which is a big win for me. So what I do is I like to use a spray of this to help me marcel my jacket in. Now, I still do a combination of using water as well as Loop. Loop is a product that adds hold to the coat. So you have to be mindful not to use too much of it because it can basically do what any type of product like that will do to my hair if I use too much of it. It'll make it look wet. It'll make it crunchy, and you don't want that. So the way that I avoid that is by using this only once or twice over the whole coat and then alternating with water. Because we're not actually curling the coat completely, because we are only creating a wave, and this is just to help marcel the coat, that is why I use this the way that I do, and it works wonderfully. It doesn't make the coat hard, it doesn't make it sticky, and it works really beautifully and creates a nice shine, and it really helps hold those waves in place. So I very much love my Loop spray. And you can leave it in. You don't have to worry about washing it out or brushing it out afterwards. The only other things that I have to recommend are the little bit of extras. For your maintenance at home, if you do experience tangling, Maddox is your best friend. This is a silicone-based dematting spray, which means you have to wash it out. You can use it very lightly, but I do not recommend it. If you are not going to wash it out, use something like Mix or Protein instead to help remove tangles and mats. Both of those are meant to be left in. Silicone-based products are not. If you leave this in the coat, even if you brushed out that mat completely, it is going to tangle back up even faster because the coat is now heavy, it is wet, and it is going to tangle right back up on itself. But if you wash it out, you're good to go. Wash it out, use a moisturizing shampoo like Hidratante, and your coat will thank you. And of course, follow it up with a really good conditioner, because if you've got matting, it means you've got damage. It means you have breakage and you need to repair it. So Mat-X will be your best friend if you struggle with tangles, but please, please, please use it before the bath. I also love my dry hold hairspray and my Flash. Flash is a beautiful shine conditioner. It is oil-based, but it comes out in a very fine mist. You literally use that much, spray it over the dog, run your brush over them, and it's just gonna add a really beautiful shine. If you have a dog that you are taking into the ring, spritz them beforehand. It smells amazing, and it's also gonna add a beautiful eye-catching shine to their coat. Dry hold hairspray is what it sounds like. It's a hairspray, but because it is a dry particle hairspray, it actually comes out of the coat naturally or with brushing. You do not have to wash this out. For a final touch before you go into the ring, it will keep your hair in place, and it is fabulous. Now, the only note to make is do not brush or comb the coat after you use it. That's how you can get it out. Because it is dry particle, it is safe to send pets home with, it is safe to leave in your dog's coat when you're showing, and you don't even have to worry about it. It's not going to cause any breakage, it's not going to cause any matting. So dry hold is definitely a wonderful product to use if maybe you have to keep some stuff in place, if you're trying not to have certain flyaways that you weren't able to trim for XYZ reason. Dry hold is a wonderful product to use. Now on to my next category, shears. In being a longtime Artero product user, I have also grown incredibly attached to their shears. And the nice thing about having gotten the opportunity to work in the company is that I also got to learn a lot about how they are made, what they are made for, what metals they are made with, and why. What the different edges mean, all of the good things that are very important to understand about shears. Shears are not just scissors. Find out what you like, find out why. Higher hardness level means that they don't need to be sharpened as frequently. It also means that they hold their edge longer. Something with a serrated edge means that it's a more aggressive shear. It can grab more hair. Something with a razor edge is really good for finishing. Thinners are really good for blending on more fine hair. Chunkers are good for blending on curlier, plush hair. Every shear, every style has a reason. It has a perk to it. You know, of course you could absolutely get by with just using straight shears if you want to, but when you can add some additional tools to your arsenal to help you get that beautiful, beautiful, stunning finish, why not? My personal favorite straight shear out of Artero right now is the Artero Mystery. I also have used the Artero Onix, which is another straight shear. It is absolutely wonderful, has a great finishing edge. This one just has a little bit of a different handle to it. It's a little bit more lightweight in my opinion, so I really do appreciate it. I love that it has a razor edge on it. I love that it has a higher hardness level of, I think, HRC 60, which means it's going to be able to hold this sharp edge a lot longer, and it is going to be able to really get a nice finish on those coats. It also can cut a lot of hair. It is not a delicate shear. It is not something that just skims. I can hack hair off with these. I love a shear that can do the best of both worlds, which is cut off a lot of hair as well as give a really good finish. The less I have to keep switching shears while I'm competing, also just in general, the less I have to keep using a different one shear, another shear while I'm grooming for a dog show, is the better. So I absolutely love the Artero Mystery. This one is an 8-inch. I believe it also comes in 7 inches. I know that the Artero Onix goes up to 9 inches, so if you like your longer shears, Onix is a great option for you as well. But for me, I absolutely love the Artero Mystery. Next up for curve shears. So currently my favorite Artero shear for using the curve is the Artero 1 shear. It has this wonderful offside handle that is really great, especially if you're like me and you have short fingers. It makes it that much easier to rest your finger on it, and you barely have to apply any pressure because it hooks right onto your thumb. So you can literally just up and down, easiest, no resistance. I'm not putting any pressure on the thumb, and it's good to go. I love being able to alternate. I always like to have the double finger rest because I like to use my shears flipped in reverse as well for a lot of my grooming. This helps me pull things into the dog a lot smoother. It helps with transitions on legs, from the chest, on the body, and it's gonna really help build that body that you're trying to accomplish. That is my definite recommendation for a curved shear. Now onto thinners and chunkers. So I have 3 personal favorites, and I'll tell you what each of them does. Starting with the thinners, my forever favorite is the Artero Onix thinner. It is beautiful for blending. You will get a seamless transition from your clipper work to the top of your head when you go over that arch. You will get a beautiful transition into your fall. These work fabulously on those finer hairs and really getting a good blend from an area that is clippered tightly into an area that is more full. So I always recommend these. They are wonderful to use for blending all of those clippered lines. For the body and for the legs, my personal preferences are the Artero Alp shears. I have both the Artero Alp 16 and the Artero Alp 43. The Artero Alp 16 is the one that I like when I'm really trying to get some bulk off. It has 16 teeth, they're set wider apart, and that means that these are going to perform as a more aggressive chunker. You are going to be able to take off a lot of hair, but it's not going to leave scissor marks, and that is the beautiful thing about chunkers. You can be a bit braver with them and not have to worry about cutting really sharp lines into your dog. They're just going to be really great for blending. I personally only like to use my straights or curves on the body of the Kerry Blue Terrier where they are marcelled, and then I like to use my chunkers on the legs and the fall area when I need to. So like I said, Artero Alp 16 are my workhorses. That's when I need to get a lot of coat off really quick. These are the ones that I'm going to use. For the perfect plush finish for the fall area where you want to scissor to make sure that they don't have that wedginess, the Alp 43 is the jam. This shear works incredible at not leaving a single scissor mark. You will not see it on those plush coats. It is absolutely beautiful. You can float this over for your finishing touches when you are done with everything and you've got everything where you want it. They also work really well with taking a good amount of hair off too. Not as aggressive as the Alp 16, but we've got 43 teeth here, and that is going to make sure that you are going to get a really beautiful, nice blend and a beautiful finish on your curly coats. Jamie, these are the shears you were asking me about at Kerry Fest, the Artero Alp 43. So I hope that covers a lot of questions that you might have as far as what to use, what I recommend. If you're watching, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I am looking forward to doing a lot more of these breed-specific videos. I work with a lot of breeds. I pride myself in being an all-breed groomer, and I love learning new techniques and really learning what works for different coat types, different breeds, different everything, what we're trying to accomplish. It is my ultimate passion when it comes to this. So if you have any follow-up questions, need any product recommendations, if you want me to do a video on another breed that you're interested in, absolutely comment below. You will find a list of all of the products that I discussed here in the description of this grooming video. So copy it, paste it, take it, and go right over to artero.com and use discount code DF246 for 10% off your entire order. If you spend over $170, you get free shipping. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!